Hello, my name is Dr. Ruthie. I'm a professional sexuality educator and a relationship coach over at exploringintimacy.com. And thanks to the great folks at Funwares, I'm here answering your questions about sex and relationships. And speaking of Funwares, I was just talking to my friend over there, and as I mentioned in the last video, we were commenting that this seems like a time of year when a lot of relationships end, and we were wondering why that might be, and we had lots of ideas, starting with the fact that this time of year is high depression and low relationship satisfaction because it's so dark and dreary over in this hemisphere. Heading on over to spring is coming and maybe people want a clean slate and some freedom, and also Valentine's Day can be a time when people realize their relationship is great or realize that they're just not satisfied with it. Regardless of the reason, sometimes this is a time for breakup. And this means that it's a time to do it well. In the other video, I talked about my 6 tips to help you know if maybe it is time to end that relationship or maybe if it's worth saving. And now I want to give you my top 6 tips with a bonus 6.5 tip on how to have the best breakup possible as the person who initiates the breakup. And if you're hoping you don't have to initiate it, hold on for that tip number and we'll talk about that too. All right, tip number 1 to hopefully help you in that direction for a better breakup. When it's time, it's time. And you know it, and I know it, and deep down they may know it too. When it is time, it's time. There's always a reason or an excuse we can come up with to not break up. It's almost their birthday. It was just their birthday. This is the 5-year anniversary of the time their car broke down. It was totally traumatic. There's Valentine's Day. There's the beginning of spring. There's the Christmas holidays. There's, whatever day, Halloween, their favorite. It's the 4th of July. We can't break up now. We're supposed to have a family reunion. There's that wedding I promised to go to as their date. There's always going to be a reason not to break up right now. But when it is time, it is time. And if that coincides with an unfortunate holiday, then I say that it is time when it is time. If you are concerned that breaking up with them will trigger some sort of mental health crisis for them, you can contact their loved ones around them first and say, hey, the relationship is ending. I'm really worried for how they're going to respond. I'm just about right now to call and let them know. I'd appreciate it if you'd let me let them know first. But I would also appreciate it if you would look out for their well-being because I'm not going to be the right person for that anymore. What if their loved ones hate you? Well, you won't have to worry about it much longer, but that still makes it the right people's problem and not yours. When a relationship needs to be over, that is not the right time to be the person's primary caretaker. If you're really worried for them, do whatever you need to do to make sure they're safe. That doesn't include you having to extend it longer than it should be. Number 2, man or woman up, don't try to get them to do it by making them miserable, stretching it out, doing bad things, treating them poorly, trying to introduce them to new people that they might be interested in instead of you, trying to open the relationship when you don't really want an open relationship, you just want to hand them off, making a baby so that you'll have other things to worry about or they'll have someone else to love. Whatever it is, man up, woman up, and it's time to be the one to initiate it. I know. It would be so much easier if they disliked you and they broke up with you, then they could feel good about breaking up and you could feel good because it spared their feelings. This is often one of the most cruel moves a person can make in addition to just stringing a person on for way, way too long, which was number 1. It is time. That means it's time to do it and not to try and get them to do it. If you don't know how, this is why you're watching this video. If you don't like being the one to do the breaking up, it's not going to be fun. Tough poodles, folks. You're just going to have to do it, man or woman up. Number 3, a clean cut or a clear transition is necessary. We all know the I want to stay friends thing has become kind of a hackneyed expression, right? If what you want to do is transition to a friends with benefits or a good friendship, so you want to make a transition in the relationship, not just a clear cut, you can say that clearly and cleanly, but also not expect it to happen right away. This relationship is done. I'm sorry, and I didn't want it to end like this, but I can't be in this relationship anymore. I need to be single, or there's someone else that I'm interested in, whatever is the case. I hope that at some point we can be with each other, but I know that may take some time. Or a clean cut This relationship is over. I'm sorry. It just isn't working well for me, and I'm not the person that I want to be in this relationship, and so it's done. I'm sorry. So a clean cut or a clear transition, not a, oh, let's try a little break and you're really just trying to get out. Or, oh, I love you a lot, but I also want to love a lot of other people. And so I'd like to continue dating you and meet my friend Susan. Some sort of strange, like, I don't know what's happening here. This is unclear. A clean cut, a clear transition. And in order for you to make that, if you're making a clean cut, I suggest 1 to 2 sentences that flatly state where it is, and later on, when people are not feeling so upset and it's not so emotionally ugly, if you feel the need to explain more, then you can. If it's a clear transition, you might need a few more sentences than that to spit it out, but still, we want like 5 sentences or less that clearly state what we want to happen or what we need to happen, and then leave it like that for them to think about, and you can come back to talk about it later. It sounds cruel, but whoever is telling you that it's cruel, there's no not cruel, because the relationship is over and the other person doesn't want it to be. So clear and clean, either a transition or a cut. Keep it brief. When people are trying to say lots and lots of sentences to end or transition the relationship, it is, and they believe it is to make it kinder to the other person. If you look deep down in your heart, it's probably just to soothe your own sense of guilt or concern about the situation. You just need to lay it out there, and your meandering mouth is only making it worse for them, even if you're trying to make yourself feel better. So be responsible. See number 2, man or woman up, cut it off, and make it quick. 4, no jealousy, no fights, just your decision to go. Remember what I said a second ago about just a couple of sentences? That's right. This is not the time to rehash everything that has gone wrong, all the reasons you're upset, everything that made you break up, all the reasons they're a great person, all of the reasons that they'll be just fine. Whatever it is that you want to say to hurt them or help them or heal them, now is not the time. No jealousy, no fights, none of your own personal guilt, just your decision to go. You can have those other conversations in a month or 2 if it's really necessary, but you'll probably discover it never was. You can leak it through friends or whatever you need to do. Number 5, settle material concerns promptly or let them go. You've got stuff at each other's houses. You've borrowed money from each other. If you owe them stuff or money, settle it. Borrow it from somebody else that you can take a little bit longer to pay back. Whatever it is you need to do. Put everything in a box. Agree to leave it on their porch when they're not home or without knocking on the door, or with a friend who will, transfer it over. If it's a lot, leave it in a storage unit that you paid for 1 month and send them the key and they can go pick it up or not. Whatever the case may be, settle material concerns promptly. What if they owe you stuff? Ask them to settle their material concerns promptly, but be prepared to let it go. If the relationship is over, you may need to take some losses. If it's losses you can't afford to take, then you need to be talking to an attorney and not me. Number 6, be good to yourself and to them by not being selfish or guilt-induced, and by not stalking them. That's your bonus 6.5. So number 6, be good to yourself and to them by not drawing it out for guilt or anger reasons. When it's done, it's done. Don't call back. Don't enable them to call you back. You're not the person they should be turning to anymore. And, if you said you wanted to be friends, that friendship can't happen immediately afterwards. They should have some other folks to turn to. And the 0.5 is no stalking. That means getting rid of whatever you need to do to stop meandering into their life. If you are truly going to stay friends later, you probably still need a break. If all of this is overload and you're telling me it's not that hard to break up with someone, then what are you doing watching this video? Just go take care of it yourself. You're probably watching this video because you're stressed about it and you anticipate it being a little difficult. So that means making it so their stuff doesn't show up on your Facebook page or unfriending. Twitter, all that other sort of stuff. Not sending texts. If they're contacting you, answering in a brief way that cuts it off, or not contacting them back at all. So, no stalking, no drawing it out. I'm Dr. Ruthie. These are your 6 tips for how to have the best possible breakup. I hope this helps both of you, and I will see you in the next video.